Hi there and welcome to Distilling in Australia. My name is Nick and today I'm going to be talking about or going through the application for a license to manufacture excisable products alcohol. So I'm going to go through the whole form and I'm going to answer a number of the questions, but not all the questions, because if I try and do that, we will be here for hours, all right? So I'm going to break it up into sections, but first of all, I just wanted to run through the whole of the application so we have a bit of an idea of the questions that they're going to ask and how we're going to address some of them. So there's going to be a mixture of looking at me and looking at the form, so I'll try and make it as pain-free as I possibly can for you. But first, as usual, 5 seconds of your life you are never going to get back. I know, but that's how it is. All right, so application for excise to manufacture, I'll start that again. Application for a license to manufacture excisable products - alcohol, which is the form you need to fill in to get your license or to attempt to get your license. And again, remember, I'm not out to make myself out to be the guru here. There's plenty of people out there that know a lot more about this than I do. So, I will make mistakes, and if you learn from my mistakes, that's great. But, and there's people are pulling me up on my mistakes, and that's fine. That's great. I don't have a problem with that at all, and I welcome it. So if you have suggestions or comments, please let me know. All right. And in the meantime, if you want to, you can follow me at distillingaustralia.com. The link will be on the information underneath. And if you're watching this, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps the channel a lot. All right. So let's get started. All right. Application details, Section A, Question 1. Who is the applicant? Now, in my particular case, the applicant is myself, trading as Harts Distillery. Now, if you watched the setting up of my entity, I have set it up in a family trust. So I will be trading through myself as trustee of my family trust, trading as Harts Distillery. And so in that application, I will be need to put in my ABN number, my business address, where I live, the Queensland, the postcode, and the state. And of course, postal address for correspondence. So all that information needs to be filled in question 1, and that's all very self-explanatory. They do ask the question, do you authorize us to communicate with you or your authorized contact persons by email on confidential matters relation to this application? And I have ticked yes. Okay, now the next question is important. Question 2. Is your business a small business entity? Now I have ticked yes, because remember, I am doing this as a micro distillery. And then you need to then describe the type of business that you intend to operate and your proposed commencement date. Now, I will be doing a separate bit of information about that. So in there I will type refer to attachment whatever, question mark, so it'll be attachment 1, but for the sake here, I'll just put question mark. So I will then go through that and describe what it is I'm going to do. Now you go over to Section B, bank account details, and all you need to do is provide your Australian bank account details. Now that'll mean, in my particular case, that I'll need to go to the bank with my registration and all my trust deeds and all that sort of information, and open up a bank account, which I will do next week. So all your tax information goes in there, and the all the account details for that. So obviously they need to know that for a number of reasons in relation to paying your excise duties and receiving your refunds if you're entitled to excise refunds or drawbacks. Authorized contact details, Section C, 5. Who is your authorized contact person if we need more information? Now for me, it'll be myself, because there is no one else, so I'll just put my details in there with all my contact information. So that's all very straightforward so far. So the next section, Section D, Question 6. And here it says, provide the following information for people who will participate in the management or control of the business applying for the license. Okay, so as I am a micro distiller, it'll just be me. I will just put my details in there. But if you've got partners or directors or other people of influence, then you need to also include their details in there as well. There is enough information there for 4 people, and they're the judgments that you're going to have to make depending on your particular circumstances. But for me, it's just me. Question 7, provide details of all people who will participate in the management or control of the premises to be licensed. Okay, so I'll just highlight that. Management control of the premises to be licensed. So these are the people who hold control of where you operate from. And that's an important part. So if someone like a landlord or another owner has control over the premises, you need to declare that. Now for me, obviously it's my wife and I, because I'll be distilling from home, and I will do a video on that a bit later on. But it'll be just myself and my wife, because we're the only two who have any management or control over the premises. Okay, so you've got lots of information there that you can fill in for the different people. Provide details of the peoples and entities you are associated with. Now, will go into this with a little bit more detail. What that is referring to is the explanation from the tax office is that we must also consider your associates before granting a license. To do this, we may need to do background checks on the people and entities you are associated with, and that's within the meaning of the Income Tax Assessment Act 1997, that have influence over your business. All right, so you might have associations through different companies, corporations, partnerships, whatever, and those people are able to exert influence over your distillery business. Then you need to declare them and for them to fill out the relevant information. Now, these people all will need to fill out a fit and proper person's disclosure on convictions. So if you've had no convictions, obviously that's nil. But if the convictions or offences within the last 10 years, disclosure details on convictions. If you have been convicted for offences within the last 10 years and those convictions have been pardoned, quashed or spent, you may answer no to the questions about convictions. You don't have to tell us about them. So in other words, if you've been convicted in the last 10 years and for whatever reason those convictions have been overturned, then you can answer no. Otherwise, you must answer yes and give them details in relation to those convictions in the last 10 years. Okay, Section E, Financial Information, Question 9. Do you have any financial statements showing your present trading position? Now, for me, that'll be no, because obviously I'm not running the distillery as yet, and therefore I don't have any financial statements at this particular point in time. And I will be covering that also in my business plan. So that's something that you need to incorporate within the business plan. Have you prepared a business plan? There we go. The answer to this will be yes, because by the time I lodge this, yes, I will have a business plan. And again, I will be going through that in another video in great details. The next section, F, premises. Do the premises have an existing establishment identification number issued by us? Now, for me, that is no. All right, because this is part of the process that I'm going through, is to get all these licenses and establish an identification number. And next question, what is the name of your establishment? And for me, it's going to be Harts Distillery. Now, question 13, do you have a customs warehouse license for these premises? Now, I don't. However, have you applied or intend applying for a custom warehouse license? And the answer is yes, because I will be storing my excisable produce here within my premises, and therefore I need a warehouse customs license as well. So then it goes on to ask you what is your street address, etc. So obviously I'm not going to fill that in this forum. And then it goes on to provide full details, question 15, provide full details of the building and external boundaries of the premises, including construction materials used. So what they're wanting there is they want to know that if you are storing your produce, that it's going to be secure and safe to store as well. Because remember, this is about responsible, legal, safe distilling, okay, the micro distilling. It's not, we're not trying to do anything illegal here. We're trying to follow the rules. Okay, so they're asking for provide full details of security of the premises. Now again, I'm going to go see attachment, whatever attachment it might be, and I'll go put that through. Now I'm obviously not going to publicize that because I don't want any third parties knowing what my security arrangements are, but I will have the proper and complete security arrangements as well. Provide details of containers and other equipment to be used at the premises. So this is where they want to know all the sort of type of equipment you're going to be using, be fermenters, what type of storage containers, all the relevant information. Again, that will be see attachment whatever, and I'll go through that and run through those details with you again in another video. So, do you own the premises? Now, that is a question that you need to answer. You might be renting, you might be owning. They need to know that. Question 19, do you lease the premises? So again, it comes down to ownership and access, and it also refers back to that question about people who can exert influence over the actual premises. Now, section G, manufacture of excisable goods. So select the descriptions that best describe your proposed activities. Now, for me, it is the distillation of spirits, the denaturing of spirits, maturation, blending and reduction of spirits, manufacture of liqueurs and other excisable beverages, and contract manufacturing. Now, obviously the distilling of spirits is quite straightforward. Denaturing of spirits. Okay, so I'll just explain. There are approved formulas for the denaturing of spirits, and I'm going to post those formulas to the budding distillers in the Patreon page, and those approved, there's about 20 of them, and these are the approved formulas. Now, what these formulas are intended to do is to make the product, to make your distilled product unfit for human consumption, either through smell, taste or toxicity. So to do that, they have 20 odd approved denaturing spirit formulas, and I'll post those on the website in Patreon for the budding distillers, so you'll get all that. So to those guys, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it, and that's one of the benefits that you get. So the maturation, blending or reduction of spirits, I'm going to add that to the license because obviously there's some products that I'm going to put in large kegs and keep for quite a number of years, manufacturing liqueurs and other excisable beverages. So I just want to have that ability to do that without having to go through the whole amendment or reclassification of my license. So if I have that, I may not do that, but I just want it there as an option. And the contract manufacture, it may be that down the track I might be producing more product than I actually need or require or want to use, and I might want to sell some of that off. So I might actually do that. Now, I can only sell that unbonded product to someone else who holds the appropriate licenses. So, and I did cover that in the previous video of unbonded goods. So you still need to get permission to do that, to move those around. Now, question 21. Now, this is an interesting question, question 21. It says, provide details of the skills and experience you have available to enable you to carry out activities listed above. Now, the operative words is here, you have available to enable you. So it doesn't mean that you personally have to have the skills and experience, but you have to be able to access information that will enable you to carry out the activities. Now again, in this particular box I have said see attachment ? And I will address that in detail in another video, and this is part of the whole process. I know there's a few of these, but I can't answer all these in one hit. There's just simply too much information. We'd be here for hours. Okay, so the next question, 22, are you the owner of the products manufactured on your premises? Now for me that is yes. Okay, so I manufacture them, I own them. So that means I just go onto question 23. If you're not, obviously you have to provide details of who owns it. All right, so question 23, list the types of products and the quantity you expect to manufacture in any 12-month period. Now, to this question I have see attachment ? That means that I'm going to address this, but I'm going to address it as part of my 5-year plan. So at different years, I'm going to have different products and different quantities as I build up my micro distilling business to get to that point where I'm selling my 100 bottles of product a week. Okay, so it's going to take time. It's going to take 5 years to get to that point. So I'm going to give them a year-by-year estimate of how I intend to get to that point. Provide details on how your product will be packaged. Now, although I have said here see attachment, but my way of thinking is that I'm just going to have a standard 1 litre bottle at a 40% ABV. Alice, I got it right this time. That's going to be my standard container. It's just a standard 1 litre container with a 40% ABV of whatever product it is I am selling. And that just makes it easier for me to keep track of everything that I'm doing. Question 26, explain how you intend to establish or test the alcoholic strength of your products corrected to 20C. Now, most hydrometers or alcometers are calibrated to either 15 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees Celsius. The tax office requires it to be corrected 20 degrees Celsius, and I will be doing a video on the formulas that you need, and then I'll actually be releasing a spreadsheet to the budding distillers on Patreon, which will mean that they can put in the distillate temperature, they can put in their reading, and it'll give them an adjustment and give them the correct reading. Okay, so that's an important part. Now, explain how you will determine the volume of your bulk vessels corrected to 20 degrees Celsius. Now, when you have a bulk vessel, it'll say, look, this is a 500 litre keg. So when you put in your distillate, if it's at 25 degrees, it expands. Okay, so it's not actually 500 litres of product. It might be 500.2 for argument's sake. And I haven't done the calculation, so please don't. And if you know the exact terminology or the exact calculation, by all means, post it in the comments or send me an email. Here's my email address. I'd love the help if you have the formulas. So that again, I'll be putting in an attachment and answering that in as much detail as I can, and that'll be a separate video on that as well. That's question 26. Explain how you intend to establish or test the alcoholic strength of your products correct to 20 Celsius. So again, when you are testing your alcohol, we're using a alcometer or a hydrometer, whatever instrument that you need to use, or I forgot the name of it, but there's an electronic one that measures Brix as well. Again, remember that you've got to record your distillate temperature and then make an adjustment on that. And it's not a lot. I mean, in most cases, very little. But and this really more is aimed to the really large manufacturers. If you're distilling 5,000 or 10,000 litres of product, that temperature variance is critical, because it makes a large difference in absolute LAL alcoholic volume. Okay, so I think I was 26 strength. Okay, the volume. Okay, so 27. Explain how you will determine the volume of bulk vessels. I just covered that. 28. Explain how you intend to accurately determine your fills. For example, bottles, kegs, drums, or other containers. Correct to 20 Celsius. Now, again, when I bottle my product, I'll be doing it in 1 litre containers, so I'll know exactly what the 1 litre mark is. It'll be the same container. It'll just have different labels on it, depending on which particular product it is. But by doing it that way, then I know that I have a consistent fill, and I know exactly consistently how much I'm putting in each bottle. Question 29. Has the measurement equipment used to determine your excise liability been professionally calibrated? Now, I'm going to say no to this one because it hasn't. I do have hydrometers and alcohometers and those types of things, but I don't have a calibration certificate that goes with those, and so therefore at this point I'm going to say no. The tax office may require me to get a calibration certificate. If I have to do that, well, I have to do that. It's no big deal, but at this particular point in time I'm going to answer no. Now, question 30. Now here's the burning question. Do you own a still? Now, my answer to that is no. Okay, I do not own a still. If you own a still, yes, I'd be considering what you do with that still, and maybe think about your answer to that one. So I'm going to go straight to question 31, because I don't own the still, and I have to actually get permission to buy a still, and that's a separate application, and I will be doing that as well. Excise payment duties. Now, question 31. Will you be responsible for paying excise duty or lodging excise returns? Now, the answer to that for me is yes. And I'm going to also tick the payment prior to clearance. So therefore, I will pay my excise duty before it leaves my licensed premises, and that way I can control my cash flow a lot better, because I'll actually be getting the revenue in for the excise duty, so I can pay it at the point of sale, and then I will then send it out. And again, you've got to put in all your details. If you're an individual or an entity, I will be putting my details in as an entity, obviously not on this forum, but all my details will go in there as an entity, because I am trading as Hearts Distillery under a family trust. If 32, if you indicated periodical payment, what is the PSP period you're applying for? Now, in this one, I'm going to go for question 34. Now, just to clarify something here in relation to questions 32 and 34, this is to do with obviously your liability pay, and I'm going to tick in question 34, do you have commercial insurance, which includes an amount to cover any excise payable in the event of theft or loss? And my answer to that is going to be yes. Now, I just want to go over something when it comes to question 34 and that. The Australian Tax Office recommends you obtain commercial insurance, which includes an amount to cover any excise duty payable in the event of theft or loss of your excisable products. If you are unable to account for products on which excise duty has not been paid, you must pay an amount equal to the excise duty payable on that product. For example, we consider products stolen from your premises as unaccounted for. So if your produce is stolen from your premises, they are unaccountable, and therefore you still need to pay duty on it. Now, to give you a quick example, this is just straight off the top of my head, if you had a 500 litre keg at 60% ABV or 130 proof, you could be up for as much as, I think it's around about $175,000 in excise duty. So you need to have your insurance for those things. So I will be getting commercial insurance to cover those amounts, and that'll be incorporated in the cost of setting up my micro distillery. Okay, section I, question 35, underbond product transfers. Do you intend to move excisable goods to other licensed premises before excise duty is paid? Now, I'm going to tick no here, and I know that people will pull me up on the fact that I've put in here contract distiller as well, but I'm going to answer no to this one, just to see how the reaction is with the Australian Tax Office, because I know that there's a conflict there in terms of the answers, but I just want to see how they address it and what their requirements are. Of course, any feedback I get from the ATO in relation to my application, I will be posting that information, so you know, again, this is about you learning from my mistakes. Now, do you intend to excise excisable goods? I'm going to answer yes to that. Now, I'm hoping that part of my products will go overseas, and that's why I'm answering yes to that. So if I do get orders from, the States or England or other places, then those particular products will be excise free from my perspective and from the tax office perspective. So therefore, I need to declare that I'm going to do it. Okay. Section J, recording systems. Now, boy, okay. Remember, this is a micro distillery, so it's really easy to get carried away with answering or with doing these types of things. Now, I'm just going to be doing some basic Excel spreadsheets, and these will be available to my budding distillers in Patreon when I get around to it, and no, they're not available now. So in all these instances, there will be spreadsheets that will be connected to each other to transfer data across from one another. But please, just give them the information that they need. If you're doing your own spreadsheets, give them the information they need without overdoing it, because I know it's really tempting to overdo it, but I think you just make more work for yourself and make your spreadsheets so complicated that at the end of the day you go back to try and work out where there's a mistake and you just can't find it. So I will be answering yes to all of those recipe sheets, volume. I'm not going to go through every single one here, but all of those I'm going to be answering yes, and they're all going to be Excel spreadsheet based accounting systems, just basic accounting systems, simple in, simple out, simple quantities, percentage ABVs or proofs, whatever it might be, temperature correction and net volumes of whatever that might be. But again, it's going to be very, very straightforward. Okay, it says here, describe your record keeping system, and again, that's going to be just an Excel spreadsheet where you can just enter your details, and it will give you the information that you require. Remember, micro distillery. Okay, if you're a big organisation, then completely different kettle of fish. There are professional accounting software out there for distillers, and they'll probably cost tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know, I haven't researched it, but that's something that they require, obviously, to keep track of their excisable products. We're on to section K at last, the declaration, and this is, of course, where you get to sign your life away, and obviously if you've made the best you can at the application process, you can confidently sign the details and lodge the form. That's the end of the application form. What a marathon effort it was. You're still with us. Congratulations, because I know that it was a really long effort, and I had to do this in a couple of stages because my camera ran out of charge, and so there was a few issues I had there. But the bottom line is that The application process, although it's lengthy, is not overly complicated, and of course I'll walk everyone through the processes, and it'll be available to you as you continue the journey along with me, and I look forward to that. So thank you very much for watching. As always, if you're watching, subscribe. It costs you nothing. Share this with friends and family, and look at the art. Now, I've had a few requests about distilling from home, and that will be the next video that I'm going to do. I'm going to take one video break from the application process, and then I'll get back into the application process, answering the specific questions that we haven't answered during the application, the overview that I've gone through. So thank you for your time. The run sheet is coming up next, and I will see you next time. Ciao. Distilling alcohol is illegal in Australia unless you hold the appropriate licenses and permits. I am not a lawyer, and the contents of this video are not intended to be legal advice. Do not rely on any information contained in this video, and seek your own professional legal advice before making any decisions. Be aware, the Australian Tax Office and local law enforcement agencies will be taking interest in this channel due to its content. Please keep this in mind before posting any comments. Any comments posted are the opinion of the person posting and not of this channel. Let's get started.